Well, from the east, young Tim.
Yes.
South and east, we are venturing. I wonder if they have snow down there like we have up here.
Down in the Hoosier State?
Hoosier, yes.
What's a Hoosier, Uncle Randy?
I have no idea.
I know it's a nickname that was given to him, but it's kind of a frontier roughness term. It's a regional nickname. It's friendliness, neighborliness, idyllic contentment with the Indiana landscape and life down there, the rustic, rugged lifestyle down there, but there are a few folk etymologies that are out there. Would you like to hear one of them?
Entomology?
About Hoosier? Entomology?
Yeah. Yes.
One traces the term Hoosier back to the frontier days when approaching a house on the frontier, in order to avoid being shot, a traveler would call out from afar to let themselves be known. Inhabitants of the cabin would then reply, Hoosier! Hoosier!
You're really going to try to sell that?
No, I got a better one.
Okay.
Poet.
Yeah.
James Whitcomb Riley.
Okay.
He says here, two 19th century Frenchmen, we're going to say Irishmen,
okay,
were brawling in a tavern, believe it? In the foothills of southern Indiana. One was cut, and a third Irishman walked in to see an ear on the floor of the tavern, prompting him to slur out, Hoosier! Hoosier!
Have not stopped the show, but we slowed it down. And formerly on this program, we did have somebody from the Indiana Brewers Guild.
Oh, lighten up.
All I heard was click. Should we try to see if he's still there?
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. Tristan, are you there?
Yeah. You haven't lost me quite yet. Maybe on the third
He's
one.
persistent.
I'm going to tell you what. My best friend was a Hoosier. And all I had to do is go to the Bobby Knight lunch and banquet every year in Chicago. So Hoosier,
everybody got up and threw their chair down the hallway after.
Anyway, on the line from the Indiana Brewers Guild, we have Tristan Schmid, who is going to tell us all great things about the state of Indiana, young man.
Yes.
Mr. Tim. How are you, Tristan?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing well. In Indiana, where the beer history is as old as the state itself, let's start with a Champagne Velvet, shall we? What's the history behind that? Listen up, Uncle Randy. He'll tell you.
All right.
Go ahead, Tristan.
Well, you're right. I mean, the brewing history in the state goes back to German immigrants, a long time ago, and that's just continued to the present day. We've had, along with the rest of the country, a big number of craft breweries growing throughout the state, and a lot of that goes back to Broad Ripple Brew Pubs starting over 25 years ago, just north of Indianapolis. And I think one thing that makes the industry in this state really nice is that we basically have a family tree that's extended from not only those German brewers, but more recently from Broad Ripple Brew Pubs. So there's a lot of camaraderie in our state, and passion and love for the beer, and you can get that in pretty much any brew pub you go to across the state from top to bottom.
So, Uncle Randy, Champagne Velvet was made back in 1855. Terre Haute, right, Tristan? Brewing company, and its brewmaster, the German Walter Braun, created a lager called Champagne Velvet.
That sounds so cool.
Back in 1902. Oh, my gosh. But, my goodness, you got some thirsty Hoosiers down there. The brave and hardy brewers who assisted the Underground Railroad and survived Prohibition. There's just an unmistakable Hoosier personality and spirit shining down there in Indiana, isn't there?
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of our brewers like to harken back to the history of brewing across the state. And today, Champagne Velvet is actually brewed by Upland Brewing Company in Bloomington, which is home of the IU Hoosiers. So you can get Champagne Velvet pretty much anywhere across the state, grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and it's a great beer still to this day.
Yeah, visiting with us today we have Tristan Schmid. That's a German name. So pronounce that last name. Is it Schmid, Tristan?
Schmid, yeah, it's without the T. My grandfather immigrated to Minnesota from Germany. And then my dad and mom moved from Kalamazoo, Michigan, home of Bell's Brewery, down here right before I was born. And I'm a lifelong Hoosier. I lived in Colorado for a little bit and was introduced to Blue Moon. And then I moved back to Indiana, went to IU, was introduced to Bell's Oberon. And then I realized there was a brewery just down the street from where I was living in Bloomington that brewed a beer that tasted very similar to Oberon. It was called Upland Wheat. And so Upland was the first craft beer that I ever had that was brewed at the location I was drinking it at. So that goes back, a couple decades now almost. So, it's the craft beer scene is something that I've been a part of and loved for quite a long time. So it's my pleasure to get to help promote it nowadays professionally.
Well, we have no problem with that. As I said, my best friend was an IU. We had cottages in Lake Maxinkuckee, and as golf goes in the state of Indiana, we last year we had the senior LPGA women up here in Wisconsin, and then the week next they went. I think they had a major event down. What was that golf course they had in southern Indiana where I think Jan Stevenson went out and won again? I think she won back-to-back.
Oh, did she? Yeah. Recently?
Yeah, that was last year. Yeah, okay. It was great. Beautiful. And a lot of great places to go play golf through Indiana. And
home of Pete Dye.
It is.
The Prince of the Dirt.
Well, when you go golf, our Links Libations magazine is all about golfers golf, then they sip. And I can tell you I had many a time sitting at Maxinkuckee around the lake, and just beautiful times playing golf up there. Have you ever ventured into the world of golf, Tristan?
Yeah, I actually used to play every week in the summertime with my grandfather, my German grandfather, and I play it, but not very well. So I got to admit, I don't go very often anymore. But it's a good reason to get out and at least have a beer or two, you know.
Exactly. Absolutely. And with your Drink Indiana Beer public awareness campaign, you're really keeping it local. And it's so good to see promoting. Just the local communities and the culture of it all. Tell us about your app.
We have the Drink Indiana Beer app. It's available for both Android and Apple iPhones. And it basically provides information for all the state's breweries. So the main thing is directions. It has hours for most of them, simple ways to contact the breweries if you have questions about what kind of beer they have on draft or if they're family friendly. You can find that in the app as well. And we've had that for a couple of years now. We're actually looking at adding a passport function, which will allow people to check into breweries and get rewards for every 5 stops or 10 stops, or if you're like some of my overachieving friends, if you've been to pretty much every brewery in the state, maybe you'll get some. I don't know what we can do for those guys because they probably have more than their fair share of beer.
Speaking of overachieving, your beer brigade's coming up later this spring.
Yeah, so we just rolled out our second annual collaboration, which was with Sun King Brewing, and every year our Brewers Guild is working with a different brewery in a different part of the state to host all the other breweries from that region for an annual collaboration, which you can only get through our enthusiast membership program called the Indiana Beer Brigade. And so this year we did Stuck in the Middle Imperial Stout, which was pretty dang delicious with Sun King in central Indiana here. And then we are working with Upland Brewing, whom we already talked about, to brew a sour beer for the next annual release. So that's going to be coming out either late this year or early in 2019. And again, that's just for brigade members. It's a program. You get all kinds of other benefits. So you get exclusive glassware that the brewers choose to pair with that year's beer. You get special T-shirts, access to parties, all kinds of stuff. And that's all on our website, too, which is drinking.beer or brigade.beer.
Yeah, I was not looking at your website. You have a lot of different events that come up. One tomorrow, April 11th, Codex Mayan Chocolate. What is that? That looks very cool by the title.
Yeah. The events tab on our website has not just the Brewers of Indiana Guild events, but we also kind of hand select some of the best events going on at our member breweries. And this week is we keep talking about Bloomington. I guess that's a good reason because this is actually Bloomington Craft Beer Week. And so Function Brewing Company, who are good friends of Brewers of Indiana Guild, their founder and brewer there, Steve Llewellyn, he's actually our newly elected board president at the Brewers of Indiana Guild. He's going to be tapping his annual beer. This is a pretty phenomenal beer that's very, very limited. So he's doing that as he's done for a couple of years now for Bloomington Craft Beer Week. And then there's some other events going on listed this Saturday at Bloomington, at Danny Boy Beer Works Bloomington location. They're actually tapping a whole bunch of Indiana beers from across the state down there in celebration of Hoosier beers. So there's a lot going on. And then I think the last event that we have lined up on the website right now is our annual fundraiser. So every year the Brewers of Indiana Guild holds 3 or 4 pretty big fundraisers. They're some of the biggest beer fests in the state, and the next one's coming up July 28th, downtown Indy. That's the 23rd annual Indiana Microbrewers Festival. It's a really special thing for us because not only is it a fundraiser for our nonprofit's mission to support Indiana brewers, but it's also a way for us to give money to local charities. So $3 from every ticket sold to all of our annual festivals goes back to a charity partner, or in some cases, a couple charity partners, and they're all nonprofits that can really use that money. It adds up quickly when you have 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8,000 people donating $3 a ticket from every ticket sold to that cause. So that's something we're pretty proud of here.
Encouraging and supporting the local communities. Tristan, now your social link where we can find out about merchandise and upcoming events, where do we go?
Yeah, it's all at Drink Indiana. So we are active mainly on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and it's at Drink Indiana. As simple as that.
Got it.
I can figure that one out.
Yeah, keep it simple, silly.
Hey, we really appreciate you being on today. Yeah. Tristan, we really appreciate you being on today. It's a delight. Indiana's not that far away. And warm up the car, young Tim.
Yes.
Anyway, let us know when you're when you're down to Indy again.
Well, we will. We're going to be featuring on our Links and Libations magazine. Is going to be coming to Indiana. Betsy Hill, our editor-in-chief, has got it as a focus, so I'd like to work with you on that. All right. Thanks a lot,
Cheers, Tristan.
Talk to you soon.
Cheers, you guys.
Have
a good one.
You're welcome. I got to take you to Brickyard Crossing, inside the track at Indy. You haven't played that one yet.
I have not.
Have you? That's another Pete Dye design.
Have you played that?
Have
you really?
There's 4 holes inside the track.
They do that while
I was playing with my co-host at the time back in the day, and we were the first ones off. And get this, inside the track at the Brickyard in Indy, the starter came up to us and said, "You need to slow down." We were going too fast and catching up to all the equipment, mowing things ahead of us.
Really?
So we were told to slow down at the Indianapolis 500.
Oh, great. Don't they have a senior event there? They used to have a
senior
event there.
I think so. They do. But Pete Dye's home state, Crooked Stick. Oh, my gosh.
And, Crooked Stick. Up in Chesterton, up in that area, Valparaiso.
French Lick. You played that new one in French Lick.
Yeah.
Pete Dye course at French Lick.
Yeah. That's where they had that women's event I couldn't think of here about 2 minutes ago.
One of our game's most singular... best crafter of courses in the world, our own Pete Dye.
Anyway, Links and Libations magazine on distilleries, breweries, wineries of the world wraps up another great feature coming from Indiana. Talk to you next week. See you later, Tim.